It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show! Hey everybody, it's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Schick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey gang.
Les Webster.
Hello all.
And welcome back, Liz Newman.
Hello everybody.
Yay!
Much rejoicing.
I'm alive.
We officially all survived now. We were not sure last week.
Oh, man. And just so y'all know, the air sirens were not part of their special effects. They wouldn't get that fancy without me.
Anything you heard in that was real.
Yep.
Even the panic.
Yeah. From time to time, yeah.
So how are you guys doing? I guess we already covered that. But
Amazing.
So, hope everybody out there is doing all right, and I hope everybody had a fun and safe Halloween. And welcome to November. Yeah, last couple of months of 2019. Hard to believe.
It's almost Christmas. Yay!
Well, if you're a Lifetime channel, it's been Christmas for about 3 months. So
They might as well just rename that shit the Christmas channel.
the Christmas channel.
The Christmas channel.
The Christmas movies that completely suck channel. Yeah.
Yeah. We call it emotional porn around here.
That's actually good.
I like it.
That works. Yeah.
I like it.
I'm sorry, I can't scrub that out of my brain now.
I think we might have a show total already, too. But...
Yeah. So, what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy, outside of cleanup from the bad weather?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as guilty as I feel about it, I haven't had any of that to deal with. So I live noticeably north of you guys, so not to get too geographically specific, but yeah. Beyond that, I mean, other than like watching the local news and getting all the horror I really want, well, as of recording, we're almost done with all the horror. So I don't know how I've managed to keep up. I didn't think I could cram any more podcasts into my world, but I'm only about a day behind still. So that may change. We'll see. There's 2 days left as of recording. So I hope everybody enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun doing and listening to and being involved with. Great group of people.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll be a part of it again next year, because I've already started working on our subject matter for next year.
Dang.
And I've actually allotted for a special episode if they're doing all of the horror again next year, and we've been invited to come back. So I've already taken that into account.
Sweet.
How's that?
Is it the Banana Splits movie?
Well, I'm sure one of them might cover it if you want to be a guest on their episode.
We get closer to the time, I bet we can find out.
Yeah, keep that. Make a note of that, Mike. And if one of the other podcasts cover that movie, hey, Les is available.
Oh Lord.
Sweet.
Sorry, but that was disturbing.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Well, I went and picked up new stuff. Yay! And I actually got to read some new stuff. But first of all, I would like to say Red Pegasus, who had us out. If you guys haven't been to the comic book store, The two guys that own the store are like amazing. They're so friendly. I'm usually kind of tense around people I don't know, but they make you feel right at home, and So if you don't have a comic book store, or just want to check a new place out, I definitely suggest running by there and saying hello for us down there. But this next part is going to be a spoiler, so I don't know if you guys want to bleep it now or skip ahead like 10 minutes, because you've been warned. One of the books I picked up, Brandon is really into Flash, and he picked up the new Flash board. I told him it was pretty good, from what I had seen of it and everything else. And he's like, well, I can't read this because it starts off with him in jail from everything that happened over in Heroes Crisis. And so I got to thinking, it was like, Flash in Heroes Crisis, maybe I missed something because I thought he died. Okay, so that's the first spoiler. I thought he died. So we go back inside and we get the hardback cover, the trade of it. And I was like, I'm going to have to reread this because I don't think I finished the story. No, I didn't finish the story at all. So
there's the spoiler.
Right. Now here's the spoiler. Wally kills everybody and then kills himself to only come back to save himself. And that's why he wound up in jail at the beginning of Flash Forward. So I'm kind of, the whole last issue, I don't think I read because I didn't read any of that. My understanding that was either Booster or Hartley had done this. And the way that they wrapped it up, it was kind of like, what? I mean, I felt like the lady from Misery. What in the cock-a-doodle is this? You expect us to buy this? So it was kind of like, not what I expected at all, because, like I said, Wally kills himself, but then saves himself. So I'm wondering, shouldn't there be like another third Flash running around if, the way the timelines work and, So anyways, yeah, kind of confused on that one. Flip to the cover and see Tom King, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll stay confused on that one. But I picked up The Curse of the White Knight. Now, the first story arc of this, The White Knight, I think all of us at one time plugged it as our pick to go pick up because it was a good story. The Joker was sane and actually made more sense than Batman. And it kind of flipped everything on its heel and made you look at Batman in a whole different light. So when I heard there was a second part of this coming out, I thought, oh, this is going to be so good. Because I've always wondered, what the aftermath of all of that was. So I picked this up. This has nothing to do with the first story arc, other than the Joker still kind of pissed and kind of remembers his time as Napier. But it's kind of like so totally different. There's a story going on from 1865 or something like that, where the Waynes are, I guess they have to explain the birth of Azrael, where he came from, why he hates the Waynes, what was taken from him. And I don't know, I wouldn't have called this The White Knight, not after the story that they gave us with the other one. I think it's a good story, but in my honest opinion, through my reading, it's two different stories. I mean, I that doesn't make sense, but it's two totally styles of stories. The first one was more present. This one's kind of, they go back in the past a lot to explain this, to come to the future, and yeah, so I'll finish it out just to see, but like I said, if you were really impressed with the first one, you may not be so impressed with the second one. And I'm not saying it's a bad story. It's just not like the first one at all. So I'll see what else I picked up. Yeah. But yeah, I think this one was also a Black Label. One more pet peeve, which I've mentioned before. these covers, these are regular size comics. Some of the black labels are oversized, which is fine. I hope they make bags and boards for those one day. But when they put the harder cover on the comic books, the cover doesn't go all the way to the end of the pages. So you have this little crack of pages that shows through. Like this one was really obvious because it's a white cover and the first page is almost all black. So it sends my OCD on But it's just one of those little things. I don't know why they do that, but I think if somebody's listening, they should know it irks me. Quit doing that. But it tends to be the DC Black Label books that do that. Even the oversized issues, the covers don't go all the way to the end of the pages, which I will put this in a bag, the ones that I can, but it kind of irks me that those pages aren't protected and they get bumped and so. I mean, right, it's annoying though, right? I mean, especially like now I have it in my hands and I keep finding that little bump, that's not covered. So I'm going to be the one to fray the end of my pages. So.
Nobody else to blame but yourself.
Right. But not too many other comic books do that. Like I said, I've only noticed this on the DC Black Label. So I don't know if they're trying to be edgy.
Oh, wow. There's a pun and a half.
Right. So, yeah. But I will, like I said, I will finish that one out. Sean Murphy always tells a good story, so I will complete the story, and I just hope that the second one kind of, I don't know, I was, being a Joker fan, I was excited to see more of him, and this one's totally Azrael. Totally. Joker's just stirring the pot, like he's good for.
Pretty much.
Oh, and I don't know if I mentioned it before, but we have went and seen the Joker movie now for the second time. So I'm probably the minority here, but I liked it. I really liked it. I think it's sad that it seems to me, as a DC fan, that they tried to do everything they could to take DC off of this film, which they shouldn't have done, because now it's like rated over Deadpool, it's rated over The Passion of Christ. I mean, it's totally beat, all these box office numbers. So it's kind of sad that I feel that they distanced themselves from this film. I really liked it though. It's kind of one of those, in parts of the film, you just look at who you're with and go, wow, But to me, it kind of shines a light on, there are people who live with illnesses that we walk past every day. I mean, in this movie, he had uncontrollable laughter. He would start laughing in tense situations because of a brain trauma that he'd had and stuff. But, people would just look at him weird and they walk away. And to me, it kind of shines a light on, that's kind of what we do. We ignore these people until they go and do something stupid. And then we're like, oh, we should have noticed. We should have done more. And, yeah, but you ignored the problem all along the way, So I liked it. I thought it was really good. I can see the other side of the fence and what they're saying. But I myself, I'm kind of crazy, but I never once glorified what he was doing or thought it was badass. I mean, he was psycho and it was messed up, and, it's the Joker. But I will say I walked into the movie wanting to hate it, because I think I've talked on it here. This is not Joker's origin story. When you have someone who's kind of mysterious and crazy like that, sometimes it's best not to give them an origin story for the mystery part of it. So, I was ready to pick this film apart. this wasn't Batman's Joker. This was a different Joker completely. And I say Batman's Joker as far as he wasn't portraying Batman's arch nemesis in this film. So it was totally not a Batman's Joker. You can see where he has inspired Batman's Joker later on. So I think with the opinion that I walked in, it kind of changed my tone quickly once they laid it out that this is not Batman's Joker. So, but I really did enjoy the film. I'll be surprised if he doesn't wind up winning nominations for this one, because it was pretty eye-opening. And definitely, I think that gritty, dark feel that DC's been trying to capture so hard, with the Bale trilogy and everything else, I think they succeeded in this film in doing. I think it completed the gothic part of the Batman feel and stuff. So I enjoyed it. Like I said, it'll probably be one that'll definitely be in my library once it does come out.
Yeah, I've actually heard some pretty good reviews on it so far.
Yeah. I can't understand what the fuss was about beforehand with the death threats and all that kind. I don't condone violence. I think there's other ways around violence. So to me, that's always kind of absurd when people go that route. And everyone's like, well, Marvel. No, first and foremost, this wasn't a Marvel movie. This wasn't happy-go-lucky. They set the pace for, I won't say cheery films because people died, but it wasn't a dark film. This was definitely a dark film. This was totally, I wouldn't even put it as a comic book movie. It just totally didn't have that feel to it whatsoever, And I think maybe that's what people expected, was like a comic book movie. And although there were references to like The Killing Joke and some of Joker's other notorious stories, this wasn't a comic book film, Totally different.
What I see about it is that people are wanting Batman's Joker.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, the name of the movie is Joker, not The Joker.
Yeah.
So to me, they should stay away from that thought process, accept this film as it is. Thank God that they got around Jared Leto, so you don't have to face that again.
Oh, man. Well, I was reading reports that he wanted this film shut down. And it's like,
yes.
I'm sorry nobody liked your little trashy version of Joker, And they were like, well, now that this has come out, he won't appear in Suicide Squad. Well, I don't think James Gunn was going to ask him to come. I think
Probably
he
not.
just, I'm a Joker fan. Like I said, Harley, Batman, Joker, anything in the Batman lore, I'm all for it. But I didn't like him. And you can send hate mail to the fake Les Webster account on this one. I didn't care for Heath Ledger's appearance as the Joker either. To me, that wasn't Batman's Joker either. It was good. He did a wonderful job of acting, but to me, that wasn't the Joker that Batman made,
Okay.
But yeah, and since this movie's come out, people want to compare, Heath Ledger to Joaquin, and it's like you can't. They were playing two different Jokers, totally. And the one that Heath Ledger was in did kind of have that comic book feel to it, It was dark, but yeah. So I would definitely, if I hate to say triggered, but there are certain things that trigger me. So if graphic violence is a trigger, I would suggest people not to go see this because it is dealt with very open-facedly in this movie. But if that kind of thing doesn't bother you, I hate to say it that way, but I'm a horror fan, so to me it wasn't shocking, but it was good, you know.
That actually might be a good way to approach it, is as a horror film.
Yeah. Well, I think it was what American Psycho that Christian Bale played the axe murderer guy. You know, it's the same tone as that film. Matter of fact, I think Christian Bale probably killed more people in his film than, you know, Phoenix did in his. But you know, it is definitely that same. So I guess what is that, horror drama?
I think people might call it a psychological thriller or horror or something. I
Yeah,
don't know. I've actually not sat all the way through that movie, so I'm not sure. But
yeah, that one was kind of weird. And see, and I'm also the kind of horror fan, not to go too off on the deep end. I don't. I already went there, didn't I? I'm not the one that's just in it for the gore. You know, I want a reason there's gore. I don't want just blood, 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 blood. I mean, yeah, that's cool, but to me, that's not what shocks or frightens me. You know, for one thing, I know how fake blood is made, but you know, it's just it give me a reason. The reason for all the blood is what scares me, not the side of gore and chopping heads off and stuff, you know. But I guess the psychological part of it for me is what's more scary. So most of those kind of films I tend to shy away from, because American Psycho, I think that's the name of it. It was just a gory movie, you know. There was no, you know, he kills one person and the whole room's bloody, and it's like, come on, you know, yes, splatter, but the whole room, you know, come on. I've watched too much CSI shows for this.
do not go there. There's a lot of unrealistic stuff in those too. It's just just from a different point of view.
Yeah, true. Oh, and one other thing that I did catch up on, third episode into Supernatural, and spoiler alert again, we're losing people left and right. And it's like, this is the third episode. I don't know how many more I can make it through. You know, we lost two important characters last Sunday or Thursday, so they're definitely pulling out all the stops. So if you haven't caught up, catch up. It's good.
All right, who wants to follow that? Tom, did you mute yourself?
No, I was just waiting to make sure she was done.
Oh.
Don't wait. If you wait for the dust to settle, she'll start talking again, dude. Come on.
I'll start filling up space again.
You've already done that. Thank you. Wow.
You wouldn't think she only missed 1 week, would you?
Right.
Well, she was making up for it, obviously.
And then some.
2 weeks of movies and shows.
Wes, do you want to go?
You go ahead.
Well, I'll leave you to talk about what happened yesterday then. Based off a recommendation, I picked up a book. It's a new series, and it's kind of funny because this was, and I mentioned it yesterday. A while back, we did an episode of comic series we would love to see starring characters or that don't currently have one. And one of my choices was Doctor Doom. Well, he's got a new series now. So I picked up the first issue and was totally impressed. It was almost exactly what I was talking about. Of course, this is going to make some people a little upset. It's a little bit more political based, but and not relying on the superheroes. But there's a there is a mystery here with this, because he's getting framed for an international incident that he had nothing to do with. So now, of course, the whole world's turned against him. He's trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And I don't want to say, I guess enthralled. I guess enthralled would be the word I would use. I just couldn't put the book down. Such a great read. And I just love some of the characterizations that were done between him and his servants and advisors and stuff. It was so well written, so well drawn, and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I picked this book up.
Cool.
Yeah.
That does sound good.
And then, of course, catching up on some horror movies, and since most of them are about to go away for a while, so fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, Les.
Damn it, I thought you forgot about me.
How could we possibly forget about you?
Oh, hell. Come on. I picked up a new title the other day. First 3 issues of Pretty Violent. I don't remember if we discussed this one before, but what I can determine from it is pretty much gore, but it's done in a light comic way. It reminds me a little of I Hate Fairyland, and I'm enjoying it. I think it's a good, I'm going to say stupid read, because you don't have to really think about it. So
I call it fluff.
It's definitely brain fluff. So I kind of caught up on that. And then, of course, Saturday we had our drive at Red Pegasus. Once again, thanks to Gabriel and Kenneth for allowing us to participate. The 4 of us were in front of the store under a large tent, which was nice because 1, it was shade for us, and 2, in case it rained, we were pretty much safe. We spent the day around 4 hours of handing out free comics, little Halloween tubs promoting the Adam Stanley movie, and just conversing with people, telling them what we were doing, and taking donations for Comics for Kids, an organization that we will be discussing here in a little bit. I thought it was a pretty successful day. I enjoyed the time, enjoyed seeing the people, and if you noticed, you have a different clientele of people passing by that area versus some of the shops that are around the area.
Yeah.
The store, I think, did well for the day, and I thought we did pretty damn good getting the word out and just sitting back, relaxed, arms folded behind our heads. And
it was a beautiful day.
It's a beautiful day.
It was, and it's impressive. It impressed me greatly how much you will weird people out by giving them something for free.
Right.
Oh my God, they were just like, "What? What? Really? Free? No.
Why?
I gotta buy."
Yeah.
Like, no, just take the damn comic book. Come on, man.
Or some of the looks you would get when you offered them a comic, like you were offering them, hey, let me eat your brain. They're like,
Hey,
oh.
can I show you my second head? No. But no, it's just a comic book. Come
They're
back.
like, well,
Stop.
my kids might like it. It's like, no, you will too, I promise. Unless the first one's free.
I just got to where I was just telling them that. Why are you giving these things away? To sucker you in. Like, oh, okay. And they were fine with it after that, and they would just take the thing. I'm like, really? Come on, people. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
It was fun, though.
it was a lot of fun. They
Yep.
had a good selection of free comics, too.
Yeah.
I hope everybody made it out to their local comic book store. And if you don't have one, let me plug Red Pegasus again.
Yeah, they ship, don't they?
They ship. Oh my God, they ship. I mean, customer for life.
Yeah. Liz is all like, wait, I never have to set foot in here again as long as I live? Sold!
That's what I told him. You'll know my name, but not my face.
You better take a picture today, people, because otherwise...
Here I am. I mean, if it was closer, it would definitely be one that I would try to make it to, but oh man, I had to get on 3 highways to get there. So, nope.
Yeah.
Thank you. Try again.
And for those who have any familiarity with the Dallas area, Red Pegasus is in the Bishop Arts District,
Yeah.
which is kind of the north side of Oak Cliff, which is it's an interesting little neighborhood to say the least. But
Which,
it's
if
also
you
a pain in the
haven't
ass to get to from where we
Very.
are.
Yes. I had to take, 635 to 75 to 35. So it's like, dang.
Do-da.
But if you haven't been to that area, most people think Oak Cliff and you think scary, and this is actually a nice part. I was very pleasantly surprised that it's actually a very nice part of Dallas.
It is.
It's a very relaxed area, that's for sure.
It is, yep. And a little bit of everything. We had pie across the street.
Right next door to a burger joint.
Right.
Pie across the street. We could hear 2 different sets of musicians playing.
Dueling banjos.
Yeah, there were no banjos. Don't keep people's hopes up here.
I was saying, but did that sound interesting? You'd expect the devil to come out on the crossroad. Come on.
All right, this is taking a weird turn.
Oh, like we never do that.
Oh, no.
Fair enough.
And the other thing is we took donations for comics for kids.
We did.
We did.
And we do appreciate those who did come by and drop comic books. I think a couple people actually dropped financial donations as well, which was much appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I guess this will also be the last podcast before our meetup. And you can still bring your comic books to the meetup if you didn't get a chance to make it down to Red Pegasus yesterday. We'll still take, anything you want to give us. We'll take it. Right.
Well, they need to be new or like new. They need to be in pretty good shape because these are going to a
hospital
environment. Yeah, they're going to hospitals. So yeah, we're looking for all ages or teens rated. We would definitely love all ages because I think what we got primarily so far is teens, which is great because teens need to be able to read comics as well. But it would be great to have some all ages titles there. So if that's something you're willing to give to the cause, then we would be more than happy to take them off your hands. And since Liz already brought up the next meeting Gab, it is Saturday, November 9th, and we always do it the second Saturday of the month. And we always have it at Wing City, which is located at 1456 Beltline Road in Garland. The zip is 75044. We usually just, have some great conversations, have some great food, and if you want to donate something to comic books for kids, we would be happy to take them. You just go to our website, which is www.defenseofthegeeks.net, and click on the events tab, and there's all the information for all our events that we have going on around the area. And if you want some more information about comic book for kids, there's also a tab on the website at CB4K, or you can just go directly to their website, www.cb4k.org. And that's obviously a nice little segue, I guess, to get into this week's discussion. We actually have a guest, Mark Weiss, the creator and president of Comic Books for Kids. He was nice enough to join us to kind of talk a little bit about the charity and how it came about. And it's a great conversation. Some warning, probably need to have some tissues with you, because there's some nice stories that's going to make you shed a couple tears. So, with all that said, here is our conversation with Mark Weiss. And we are joined this week by Mark Weiss, the founder and president for Comic Books for Kids. And if you've been listening to our show recently, and judging by the numbers you have, thank you very much. You are aware that this is a charity that's near and dear to our heart, and we've been trying to raise comic books and funds to help out get comics to kids in hospitals and cancer centers, just bring a little entertainment and joy to their lives. So, thank you for joining us, Mark.
Well, listen, thank you, and I'm thrilled that your listener numbers have been going up, because my first comment is to thank you and your team for some incredible support. Love what you're doing. And in the same breath, I really want to thank all your listeners, because we're all in this together, and we're all going to make a difference together. And I am incredibly appreciative to you, Thomas, and the team you have here with you, and to all the people who will be listening on this later. Thanks for everything you guys are doing to make a difference.
Well, thank you. So, just kind of start off. How did you come up with the idea for this charity? Where did Comic Books for Kids come about?
I have a passion myself for comics, and I have a collection. I have loved the mythology of the characters. I have loved comics. I never get into a fight of DC or Marvel. I mean, if you love comics, you love them all. And I have, for many years, loved them all. But like many of us, I got to the point where it was time to perhaps remove some, get rid of some. I mean, to the point where I really had boxes of stuff that I wanted to donate. And my plan was to give these to kids in hospitals. Makes sense, right? So what do? You go on Google and you do a Google search. And that's what I did. And I couldn't find it, which told me that my Google search skills were just atrocious. So I kept on looking, and I couldn't find anything. Found one group that said that they were doing it, called them, called them a month later, called them repeatedly, and over a period of a couple months, never got an answer. So I came to the conclusion that realistically, there wasn't an organization that did this. So, on a whim, and be careful what you ask for, you might just get it. On a whim, I said, you know what? I'll just do it. I'll just start a charity. I will just start an organization with the intent of giving comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers. So I want to keep talking here and just go another couple minutes because I want you to know how this played out. Because because all I did at this moment was get an idea. Let me do this. I had no idea. I promise you, no idea what it meant. I knew I wanted to do this. But at the point that I said, let's do this, my initial concept was I'll help out a few hospitals. So I called my son. This will give you an idea of how old I am, but my son is in his late 20s, possibly even 30, because I don't want to tell you just exactly how old I am. But and I said, get me a website. So what do you want? I said, I want a few screens. I'll write you something on Word. And it was a skeleton website, I promise you. And this was probably, it was, you want to help? We're thrilled to have you. Publishers, get a publisher tab, publishers content. You want to help? We're thrilled to have you. Give me a retailers tab. You want to know what the content was? You just heard it. Exact same thing. It was a skeleton website. And we developed it, and this would have been 5 years ago. 3 years go by. 3 years go by, and nothing happens. And my son calls me and says, Dad, are you going to get off your ass, do something, or what? This, at that point, would have been, again, 3 years ago. This would have been now 2 years ago. And it was 10 days before C2E2 in Chicago. I asked him and said, Mike, do you have the ability to get this website up and running and get us the Comic Book for Kids domain or CB4K domain in a week? He goes, yeah, we don't have a whole lot of content. I go, I know, just get me the domain. We got the domain up, very skeleton content, really nothing there. I called a few hospitals and said, hey, if we were to give you comic books for your kids, would you like them? And the answer was, we'd be thrilled to have them, as long as they're new or they're not really, if they're in great condition. It's great. I walk into C2E2. Well, back up. A day beforehand, I go to my local office store and get business cards printed up. And I walk into C2E2 the next day. Now, understand, I have no official number of hospitals that want to work with us. I have no money for the charity other than, I'm paying to go to C2E2. There's no money for the charity at this point. And I have no inventory to give any hospitals. So I'm walking into C2E2 with a business card and something stamped on my forehead that must say, trust me, with the goal of making something happen. All right? I walk up to the IDW booth and I talked to a guy by the name of Dirk Wood, who is one of the senior executives at IDW, and said, Dirk, you don't know me. My name is Mark Weiss. I'm starting a charity for kids in hospitals and cancer centers, and I want to give them comic books. Can you help? And I never finished the word me. Dirk looked at me and said, we're in.
Wow.
I wish you could have seen the look on your face, because my response was, really? Seriously? He goes, oh, yeah. He said, I'm crazy busy now. It's a Friday, Mark. Can you hit me up on Monday? So Dirk shook his hand. Here's my business card. Thank you. We weren't even an official 501c3 yet, but I felt so encouraged by it. I then walked over to the Dark Horse booth, feeling really energized. Again, I don't know anybody. I'm not an industry insider. I walked over to the Dark Horse booth, and I said, hi, you don't know me. Again, my name is Mark Weiss. I just was talking to the folks at IDW. I have a vision, and I'm building a charity to provide comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers. The lady at Dark Horse pauses. She looks at me and she says, can I give you a hug? And I said, well, look, I'm never going to turn down a hug, but why? And she said, I have chills right now, Mark. She said, my partner was here in the booth and just went to get a cup of coffee or something to drink. I promise you, it was not with no more than 2 minutes ago, I said to her, I really hate having to throw away these comics. I really wish there was some organization we could give them to. And you just walked up.
Wow.
Nice.
And I knew at that point that it was real, and I knew at that point that we had something. That was the validation from people in the industry who didn't even know me, right? Who were telling me, yeah, this is something that's special and that we want to do. And that's Genesis. I mean, that's where all this started. And again, it's day one. It's C2E2, still no hospitals, still no inventory, still no money for the charity. But I knew it was going to be able to be real.
Wow.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's an incredible story, guys. It's an incredible story, right? I mean, and that's where it all started. I mean, and then we realized very quickly that we had to become a 501c3, which is officially what the IRS considers a non-for-profit charity. That's a designation. They call it a 501c3, but what it really means is non-for-profit. And we filed the paperwork, and even that is an incredible story of how that came about. And if it's appropriate to go into, we can do that as well.
Sure. I'd love to hear.
Okay. And thank you for caring enough to ask, because it is, again, one of those things where we're trying to do something fun, but we all know that starting a charity, or if you will, getting the legal piece set up, costs money. And I'd already shared with you that we had no money for the charity. So I wanted to try and figure out, is there a way we may be able to get free legal support to help us? And so I live in the Chicagoland area, not in Chicago. I'm about an hour and a half away in the suburbs where there really are trees. And I found an organization that does actually paperwork and professional legal guidance to those organizations that want to become a non-for-profit, but it predominantly serves the underserved market. And because I've been in business many times for my career, I didn't know if I was eligible. I reached out to them and they said, hey, who is your end user customer? I said, it's kids in hospitals and cancer centers. I said, that's an underserved market. We'd be thrilled to help you if you're picked up. I go, what do you mean if I'm picked up? They said, well, you need to fill out this form. It's a one-pager. Oh, I can do that. They said, and you need to put together a full business plan and get it to us. And what we do is we package all the submissions together and get it to all the local attorneys in the Chicagoland area. And, they pick one that they want to help support to make a difference. I said, great. I said, give me a couple weeks. I'll put it together. And this is a Friday as I'm talking to her. She said, well, what's your time frame? I said, I'd like to get it done fairly quickly. She goes, well, I hate to tell you this, but our once a month submission is Monday.
Oh, of course.
And I said, you can't be serious, right? It's Friday afternoon as I'm talking to her. She goes, yeah, I mean, it's okay, Mark. You can wait another month. I go, no, I can't. She goes, but Mark, it needs to be a fully comprehensive business plan with financials, with strategy, with your direction, with your 3 and 5 year plan, with your budget, with your program, with your officers. And all of a sudden, guys, I was back in college. I was at a table, at a desk. I probably worked 20 hours a day typing nonstop from Friday afternoon to Monday afternoon. I mean, I was a maniac. Put together basically a 45 to 50-page document. Sent it to her on Monday. Slept really well Monday night, let me tell you.
I'll bet.
And then she said, you know what, let's see what happens. It may take a couple weeks. I said, that's fine. Got a phone call the next day. She said, we had lawyers fighting over this one. I said, great.
Oh, wow.
She said, we got you. You have a really, really talented legal team. I said, great. Thrilled. Well, they said they'd like to meet with you. I said, how soon? They said a couple days. I was in their offices in a couple days, meeting with them. They filled out the paperwork on my behalf. And lo and behold, a couple months later, we became a legitimate 501c3, which just goes to show you, my friend, that sometimes, it almost seems divine. I mean, things just really fell into place here with both IDW, with Dark Horse, and now with the legal thing, that it's someone saying, you got to do this. Someone's pushing here, right?
Right.
So that's the background on this, and that is exactly how we did it. I will keep going, and we were up and running. I mean, 2017, April, May 2017. I mean, C2E2 is what, March, April 2017. We get up and running, and it was good, but it wasn't great. And then we decided to get with the technology of the day, and I asked my daughter to get us to handle social for us. And it was going on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and the mission exploded. And that's where it became a game changer for us, as we were able to share with everybody what our mission was, share the pictures, share the ideas, share the dream. And if you read our Facebook, I mean, and as I'm talking with you guys now, you can almost read my Facebook now and hear my voice. I mean, I do all the writing for the Facebook. My daughter posts it, but it's all from the heart. It's all real. And, sometimes you need a box of Kleenex because it's very touching.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you guys all stunned. This is my pause here.
I'm just dabbing my eyes right now.
On a previous podcast, I had told them to go look at your community page on your website, and that's what really got me. It was just like, wow, when Thomas had mentioned it, it was like, okay, let me check this out. And blown away doesn't even describe how I felt on some of these letters to you guys.
It is, we initially started, listen, thank you for sharing that. I started populating the community site, a little boy with half a heart, right? I mean, oh my God. And then we started putting those stories on our Facebook, and we're getting comments from people real time, whose lives we're touching. I mean, there's stuff I wish I could share with you that I've been asked not to say. But again, what I find so amazing is, I'll back up a little bit. So I reach out to someone and by the way, you guys are the great state of Texas. I mentioned this to Thomas, that I said, I don't know what it is about the great state of Texas, but you guys are just absolutely incredible, because so many of my support organizations, retailers, again, just overall supporters, are in Texas. So I want to thank all you podcasters from Texas. Thank you. All you guys that are out of Texas, tell your friends, because Texas is kicking your ass. But I called a retailer who is in San Antonio to help me out and to kind of partner with me a little bit. And he I mean, again, I have no inventory, right? So he sends me, what he does is, we're now a 501c3. So he has a customer order 1 in 100 Spider-Man. The customer didn't want the 100 copies of Spider-Man. He'll take the A copy, but he wanted the 1 in 100, leaving my retailer now with a heck of a lot of excess that is going to go way beyond his shelf copies. So what he does is he makes his money on the 1 in 100, He sells his shelf copies, and then he sends me the case of Spider-Man. Now, let me tell you how this helps him. It's brilliant. He's already made his money because he sold the 1 in 100. He's already sold his shelf copies, his store copies. Now he's sending me his excess. Instead of letting it sit in dead stock, I turn around a legal donation receipt to him, which he can reduce his taxable income on. So now he's really made a nice profit on that, right? But better yet, I now have real comics to give to the kids.
Yeah.
So now I have my first box of comics, brand new, Amazing Spider-Man oversized issues. And again, we're just starting out. I call a hospital about a half hour away. That's kind of a very large regional hospital in the Chicagoland suburbs. And I said, hey, I don't have comics for the young ones yet, but I do have some for the teens. Would you like some? And they said, yeah, we'd love 30 or 40. I had no money to ship. I mean, yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm cheap here, but I'm trying to be smart with the charity funds, right?
Sure.
I take 30 copies of the Spider-Man. I get in my car. I drive a half hour to the hospital. I hand deliver the comics and drive back. That's how we started, guys. One title, 30 copies of each, me getting in my car driving to where we are today, which is over 150 hospitals in every single state in the country, where on average we ship 150 comics to a hospital, of which there's probably 30, 40, 50 different titles being shipment. And that includes magazines, books, oversized treasuries, teen books, representing almost all the publishers. An incredible change from where we started.
Awesome. When you're doing the right thing, everything just kind of falls into place.
It does. And you know what? I want to make this really clear to everybody. We don't take any compensation for what we do. This is a complete labor of love on behalf of all of us. And every penny that goes into the charity goes right back to the kids, 100%. None of us take any compensation for this. And we're really proud of that.
That's awesome.
Am I talking too much?
No, not at all.
Nope.
All right. Okay. Tell me, you know your listeners better than I. What do you think they would like to hear? What do you think they want to know? I have you guys stunned, don't I? I know it. I can tell. You guys are blown away.
A little bit.
And by the way, I encourage you, if you've seen the community tab, and thank you for sharing that you did, go back to our Facebook and read some of those stories. They're incredible. I mean, I will tell you, there are days I get an email from a child life specialist in a hospital that said, Mark, I just want you to know that I had an individual come into my hospital that did not speak a word of English. And I was able to use the comic book and to point to the pictures, and in a few minutes I had the person laughing, and we were communicating. All right, you guys want the Kleenex story?
Yeah.
Let me
hit
grab
us
my
with it.
Kleenex.
All right. All right. A group reached out to me, an individual reached out to me in St. Louis. And he wanted to help, but he didn't know how. And he said he wanted to just to make a difference in St. Louis. Now, at the time, well, it's and still there, St. Louis Children's were there. And Lion Forge, I believe, is in St. Louis. I think they just merged with another publisher who, shame on me, it's not real clear to me now as I'm thinking through this. But I came up with an idea of doing something really cool, which was to make an all St. Louis event. So I called the hospital. I called Lion Forge and said, hey, I want to do something fun and keep it all in the area. I have an individual that works very close to you, and I'm calling the hospital. Would you be willing to donate some comics? He goes, let me talk to my publisher, my boss, and we'll get back to you. Called the hospital, told them what was going on. Lo and behold, we arranged the fact for this individual to get comics from Lion Forge. I was going to send him some comics, and he was just going to go drop them off and do something fun, a full-blown St. Louis event. Turns out he gets approval from his boss to go out and buy a costume. Of course, it's going to be Batman because everybody wants to be Batman. So he went out and got his Batman costume. Company paid for it, gets the comic from Lion Forge, gets my comics that I sent him, goes to the hospital, and starts delivering comics. He walks into a room with a mom and a little child. And Batman walks in and gives the child a comic book. And the child says something, and the mother starts crying. And Batman looks obviously distressed because mother has started to cry, and the child's talking. Says something again. So the mother starts crying and walks out of the room. So Batman follows and looks at the mom and says, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. What did I do? She says, no, you don't understand. He said, my child hasn't talked in months since been in the hospital until you came and gave him the comic. And Batman says, well, you tell me. What did he say? What were his words? And the mother looked at him and said, that's Batman. Wow. And every time I tell that story, I get chills. Because what I have learned is, to me, and when I started doing this, I don't think any of us imagined the gravity of the situation that we would be impacting. Any of us realized the power that these little crazy things that we've all collected and bought over, auctioned over, and wanted, we never realize the impact that they can have to a child. And we have forgotten to see these characters through a child's eyes. And we are making real impact to the psychological well-being of children who are getting these books, for getting there in a hospital, and for the time they have that comic, are fighting dragons, are flying through space, and are being their favorite superhero. So
They're winning.
It's an incredible story, and to this day we still help them out, And the gentleman told me, he said, it has been life-changing for me. He said, to this, and ever since then, 3-4 times a year, actually probably more than that, he gets his Batman suit, he gets comics from me, and he goes to that hospital. And he said, if he could do that every day, he would do it. I mean, it is. I will never have the experience of doing that because I live vicariously through the stories of others. But it's incredible how we have empowered others and helped children, again, in every state of the country.
Wow. And probably their most difficult times that these kids are facing, too.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really hard stories we deal with. Yeah. Very hard stories. I mean, we say, it's hospitals and cancer centers. They don't all have good outcomes. So you do what you can.
No, they don't.
Let's see. What else can I share with you?
Well, you had told us about a coloring book.
I did.
Can you tell our listeners a little bit about it and maybe where they can go pick that up?
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Thank you very much for asking. We wanted to do something fun, and we wanted to continue to do something different that had never been done in the industry before, which is saying a lot for an industry that's been around for a long time. So we got the idea of creating a coloring book and asking creators in the industry to contribute art that was non-copyright. It has to be their own art. And if it's copyright, they have to own the copyright. In other words, they can't, I can't get a character drawing Superman and putting in the book.
Right.
And so we wanted to do something special. And so we reached out to guys like Steve Rude, John Bolton, Art Balthazar, Stan Sakai, Gary Bingham, Rich Tomaso, Sean McManus, Val Myerick, who, by the way, was a co-creator of Howard the Duck, Aaron Lopresti, total of 34 different artists, including some new legends who you'll be hopefully seeing more of. And we asked them to create art for us. And it could be, it has to be tasteful, but we have different skill levels from the little to what I call nightmare, that you better have very sharpened pencil and a lot of patience. And we put it together in a very high quality book where the pages are actually perforated. We have an index in the book, but more, we created bios for each of the characters. So the thought would be, when a child gets this in a hospital and colors it and likes what they see on page 10, they go to the index. They say, oh, page 10, that's Art Balthazar. They go to the back, they read about Art Balthazar, who he is, where they can find more information on him on a website. So is it a coloring book? Yes. Is it a art book? Yes. Is it a resource? Yes. It's all of the above. And so we put this together, and we're sending them to kids in hospitals. But we also realized that there would be people who wanted to have copies of this. We could have priced this at a ridiculous price, but we didn't want to do this. We wanted to make this fair and accessible. So we only priced these at $10. And we have two different coloring books. One, we have what I call the puppy cover, which was done by a Disney animator, a Warner Brothers animator. And the second is what I call the fantasy art cover, which was also done by someone who worked at Disney Imagineering, Disney Artistry, created the Tiki Bird exhibit. The fantasy art cover, there's only 100 of these in existence. They're never going to be reprinted. The puppy cover, there's only about 15 left, and this is all that's left of the first print. If we do any more, it'll be second print, and we're still selling these for $10. So, it's $10 plus shipping. Guys, it cost us $3-4 to make this. This was really a labor of love. But if any of you guys would love to help support the charity, you can find it. You can find more information on our website, cb4k.org or cb4k.com. Comic Book for Kids. We have both domains. We'd appreciate, you guys picking up a copy or two. It does help us, and, it is a fundraiser for us. So thank you for asking this.
And we also have links on our website.
You're the best. Yeah.
We have a page set up specifically for Comics for Kids, and
thank you.
There's links to your website. There's links to the eBay store, so where you can get the coloring books. You can also get the special variant covers that were done for comics.
Yeah, that one's going to be tight to get. Not to your listeners, but I'm not going to reprint that. And again, even the first print of the puppy cover. This is going to be one of these crazy things that in years to come, people are going to say, what the heck was that? And it's going to be, I just honestly have a gut feeling, because it's going to be one of those, I don't want to say fanzines. It's not a fanzine. It's going to be one of those things that people are going to say, I never knew this even existed. Again, there is art in this book that's never before been seen, right? Val Myerick was the co-creator of Howard the Duck with Steve Gerber. Now, Val Myerick gave us some art. I can't say it's Howard the Duck art because I don't have the copyright for it. And at no point in time are we saying it's Howard the Duck art. I'll let the viewer make a decision of what it is, right? But it's stuff that's never before seen print. Same with Sean McManus, who drew something for us. Same with Aaron Lopresti, who has an incredible image. And even in our last Facebook, someone made a comment that Aaron Lopresti's page is one of her favorites. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. So thank you again for asking. I got something kind of fun that we're also going to be doing. I guess I can talk about it now. You guys are going to here's a exclusive for you guys. You guys want an exclusive? Sure you do.
Yeah, we do.
Loaded question.
All right, you guys are the first to hear
You heard
this.
it here first.
You're the first to hear this, the first to hear it. So we have done two variants. We have done the Archie 700, and we have done Transformers #1. Both of these have sold out. I mean, when we get a print run of anywhere between 250 to 500 that are printed. We allocate most of these to go to kids in hospitals. What we do is we hold back around 100 to sell to the collectors that want a copy, and it also helps reimburse us for the cost of publishing the book. So we don't make a profit on a book. All we try to do is break even to get our money back, and then we use the remaining copies and get them to the kids. We decided that we are going to do another one that will come out in a couple weeks. And for those of your listeners who like Doctor Who, they all know that since this show relaunched, there's always been a Doctor Who Christmas special, except there's not going to be one this year. What the BBC did was they authorized Titan Comics to create the Doctor Who Christmas special via the Titan comic book. So we worked with Titan, and we have our own variant cover for the Doctor Who Christmas special that has the 10th Doctor David Tennant and the 11th Doctor Matt Smith on the cover. We have the new Doctor. We have, like all of our other books, A Child on the Bed, Hugging Canine. Yeah, I love that part. And I'm not going to ruin it yet, but wait till you see who or what the Christmas tree is. That's one of the best things ever. It's an incredibly cute cover. We have priced our variants at $35 and $40, and they've sold out. I'm pricing this one at $30, just because I want to put this in the hands of more people, so they can make it a little bit more affordable. And selected retailers will have this. Anybody who wants more information can certainly reach out to us at our website, and we can share more information. So an exclusive for you guys.
It's cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to tell you guys who the Christmas tree is. I'm going to let you be surprised.
No, that's cool. We need a little teaser for it.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Wow, you got some exciting things happening.
You know what? We have some incredible stuff going on, and I consider us incredibly blessed because we have people like you who help support us, people like you who help share the message of what we're trying to do. And, I mean, I have in my hand, not my hands, I'm looking at something I printed off on my printer just before this started, of hospitals just reaching out with emails saying, hey, Mark, would it be okay if we asked for another shipment? Mark, can you send us this? Now, normally, I send out an email blast to all the hospitals, and I get about 50, 60, 70 responses, which means I have a month of going crazy.
Right.
I haven't done that in a couple months because I have had such a regular routine of hospitals just constantly asking me for stuff. So that's the blessing and the curse, right? We never go down. We always have more hospitals joining us. So, I mean, tomorrow I will be somehow, somewhere, getting time to go to my, storage unit and filling 4 hospital orders and getting them out, in a couple days. It's incredibly exciting to have this type of response and knowing that we've got new hospitals joining us every month. One more thing to your listeners. On our website, we have a tab called Children's Hospital Network. It shows all the hospitals that we work with. If you have a local hospital that you would like us to add, let us know who it is. We'll reach out to them. As a matter of fact, we just had a situation where an individual did that. They reached out to me and asked if we could get a hospital to join. I couldn't break through. He actually contacted Child Life because his child had been there. And I then piggybacked with an email, and now they are part of our program. So, we are always adding hospitals, and we're going to keep on adding and adding and adding. The numbers keep going up.
Yeah, I just went to the website and I clicked on that tab and I looked at it and I started scrolling down and I scrolled and I scrolled
Yes.
and I scrolled and I
Yeah.
was like, wait, okay, how far is this? It's amazing how big that page is, and I love
It
the idea
is.
that it's just going to keep getting bigger.
It is. It is daunting. I wrote a Facebook post last week that I had just added 5 more hospitals, and I think it was literally last week I added this. And I made a comment about that said, I added 5 hospitals, and I went back and I took a look at how many hospitals are part of the network, and to realize that this is something that together all of us have done. I mean, and I say together because it's been together. We've all done this. We can't do it without the support of everybody helping us. Again, we don't, every penny we get comes from the donations we receive. So, yeah, I mean, we have over 150 hospitals. Now, by the way, guess what we do with the comics that we get that are inappropriate for the children? Because sometimes we get stuff that's inappropriate for children. Any guesses what we do with it?
Send them to the adult hospital.
You wish.
We give it to the military. We give it to the military.
Oh, awesome.
There you go.
Awesome.
So we got a phone call about a year ago from the Special Forces, which is Army, and they said, "Do you have any comics that you can send us?" And I said, "Oh, I do. I know there are bullets flying. Just tell me that nudity and offensive language is acceptable." Because if you take a look at most comics, right, that are not DC or Marvel, many of them are mature, and there could be Lord knows what.
Right.
I mean, look at Valiant, right? Look at Image. You're going to get language if nothing else, right? So
Right.
look at Rye from Valiant, right? You got heads flying through the air, okay? So we packed up several hundred, 300-400 comics. And we've done this on multiple occasions. Shipped it. They were put on transports to go overseas to the Special Forces, and we continue to give to the military. We have given thousands of comics to the military. We don't really talk about it or publicize that, but everything we have will get used and will be given away.
Wow.
That is awesome.
That is.
It's a great way to support the military in a way that most people just don't think about,
Well, we actually had an annual meeting a couple months ago, and I floated the idea about having a sister website, ComicBooks for Troops, because we already have the infrastructure set up, right? I mean, we're already in many ways, what are we? We're a shipping company, right? I mean, we get comics, we ship to hospitals. We are the interface between the hospitals, the retailers, publishers. We're a business hub, if you would. So for us to add additional sites that are military based is not a big deal. So we are seriously evaluating if there is a demand, if there really is a want for that. And how we would go about doing it. So yeah, it's. I guess we all thought we weren't working hard enough. I guess so. Let's just add more work to ourselves, right?
Right.
Oh, sure, why not?
Let's put more hours in the day.
Yeah, right, exactly right.
Sleep is for wimps.
Listen, right? If that's what 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. is all about, right?
Absolutely. Why spend that time unconscious? That's just a waste.
Yeah.
Let's see. For those of your listeners who are taking an interest, and they may say, how do I get involved? Well, how did you guys get involved, right? You reached out to me. You get involved. There is no wrong. The beauty of this initiative is there's no wrong answer. There are no rules. We do what we want to do as long as it helps make a child smile. And of course, it's legal and ethical. I've got to add that, right? But we can create the rules. We are only, handicapped by our own lack of imagination. Anything we want to do, that we want to come up with, we can come up with it, as you guys are doing, and you guys have been doing with your store. By the way, did you guys want to do a plug for what you guys have been doing and talk about that?
Oh, we normally do at the beginning of our podcast. We promote our meetups, and we'll definitely be talking about Rip X.
Well, and thank you.
We've been
and
plugging it for about a month now already.
Okay. So would it be appropriate to thank the retailer that?
Sure.
That's
right. Yeah.
Would it? So thank you, Red Pegasus, for your support, for working with this incredibly talented group here, and for opening your heart and your time to make a difference for the kids. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's great. A comic book store can show that they are part of community. And you did that. So thank you, Red Pegasus, for helping make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as I was saying before, how do people get involved? There's lots of ways, right? They can go talk to their retailer and say, hey, are you working with Comic Book for Kids? They can create they can do a birthday fundraiser for us. Again, we live and exist strictly on the donations we receive. They can buy a coloring book. They can tell people about it. They can follow us on Facebook. There's no wrong answer to what somebody can do. Anything that moves the ball forward and helps, we're a grassroots effort here, and we're not going to quit until we keep on putting a comic book in the hands of every child that wants one in a hospital.
Awesome. I've been on the receiving end, not from comic books from kids, but as a parent, I had a child who was a heart patient, and just trying to keep them still. He was 2. He wanted to climb the bed. So a book or anything in his hands kept him quiet, kept him still. He could heal. Kind of forget where he was for a minute. So
we decided that we were going to take it beyond comic books as well. And we are very fortunate to have a relationship with Diamond. You want to know how that happened?
how'd that happen?
How'd that happen? Thanks for asking.
Give me pointers.
It was, you have to be a little fearless, and you can't be afraid of hearing the word no. When you because effectively we're starting a business when you build a charity, right? I mean, you've got to create a profitable entity, even though you have the best of ideals in mind. You can't keep putting your own money. You've got to try and keep it financially solvent. So we knew that we were going to want Diamond's help. But I don't know anybody from Diamond, and I'm not in the industry. I'm just a guy that wants to do it, right? So you guys are all familiar with the catalog that comes out every month called Diamond Previews, right?
Yeah.
So
The wish book.
you know what? God bless you. It is the wish book. And by the way, not that I'm dating myself, someplace in my house, I have an old wish book, and it is just cool to have, and some people are saying, what the heck's a wish book? Okay. Yes, kids, there was such a thing called radio, and TVs were once black and white. Okay. So I opened the Diamond catalog and looked at who the officers were. And I called Diamond and I asked for the name of their operations exec. And they said, who's calling? And I said, oh, this is Mark Weiss. So they put me through to the guy's voicemail, right? And I said, listen, you don't know me. Here's what my name is, and it's the same story. Here's what I'm trying to do. I want 5 minutes of your time. If you will just give me 5 minutes of your time, I promise you you. If after 5 minutes you find this call worthless, you may hang up on me. But give me 5 minutes to tell you why I need your help and why I think this could work. And he called me back. We stayed on the call for over an hour.
Nice.
As a result of that, I had a chance to interact with the entire executive team that reports. I never talked to Steve Jeppy. Steve Jeppy's the owner. But I have talked with or communicated with repeatedly Diamond's entire executive team to the point where they went in 2017 to the San Diego Comic-Con and announced their partnership with us, unbeknownst to me.
Wow.
I get an email, hey, Diamond just announced that they're working with you. I mean, talk about being thrilled. Now, what does that mean? I'll tell you how cool this is that Diamond works with publishers, as you know, and Diamond has a warehouse, and we have relationships by which if there is overstock in the warehouse and publishers will release some content to us, Diamond will process that overstock and send it to us and not charge the publisher. I won't go into the gorpy details. Needless to say, I do pay for the shipping, but Diamond has been incredibly gracious to us, very supportive, as has IDW, who I mentioned to you up front, who has been, unbelievable to us. A lot of what we send to the kids are IDW because of their gracious donations.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, you can't be afraid of the word no. You've got to be fearless. You've got to ask, and you're going to get the no's, but that's all right.
Yeah, we all hear no from time to time.
And it's okay.
Lives.
You know what?
We
It's
get on
okay.
with our lives, right?
You get on, and I will tell you, when I hear no, it just simply means I haven't asked the question right.
Right.
And then it is, what would it take to get that? What do I need to? How do we make that happen? Just help me understand, what is it you need for that to happen? And sometimes it takes time, but you just be persistent and professional, and things happen.
Yeah, I've been room mom and PTA mom. I had to learn how to professionally beg.
Oh. You see, as a PTA mom, you go to these meetings, and there are times you want to rip the heads off some of the people in that room, right?
Yep, every single one of them. Yep.
So you can't, right? You just kind of say, okay. But I love those people because they make me look all so much better, because I don't lose my cool, right? I don't start getting crazy wacky. You just handle it as a professional way, and you try to make a difference. And that's how people said to me, how do you get hospitals to talk to you? Well, you talk with them, you share with them. I mean, I document everything. I send them letters of who we are and what we're going to do. I tell them to go to our website. I encourage them to call other hospitals. It's a groundswell effort, right? So that's how we do it.
Mark, I want to say that you've given us some great stories, but I want to also say you've done the impossible, making us shut up.
Right.
Right. I mean, we do this every week, and it's just us blah-blahing all the time. And yeah, you've shut us down pretty good here. I'm impressed as well.
I warned you I could outtalk. It's scary, right? It's yeah.
If nothing else, you've made our jobs really easy tonight.
Let me close this out. I can't believe we've gone an hour. I'm astonished by that. But let me close this out by again saying thank you. Thank you to you guys, all of you guys, for talking to and giving up your time on this evening to talk with me. Thank you to all your listeners for caring enough to listen to this and for wanting to make a difference. We are all in this together. I'm proud of the fact that we're making a difference. I only wish you could read the emails and letters that I get every single day. There are moments I walk out of my home office glassy-eyed, stunned by letters I've received, people who have told me their personal stories of how I've helped their child in ways that I could never imagine, or how when they were a child and they were going through trauma, comics helped them, and how this has touched their hearts. Who would have thought? I didn't. I had no idea the impact we would have or how big we would grow. But you know what? I'm thrilled to be the face and the voice of this charity, and we're going to keep doing what we do as long as everybody wants us to keep doing it. So thank you to you guys. Thank you to your listeners. This is where we all hold hands and sing Kumbaya together, because it's a good, it's a great story.
It is.
Well, and thank you for doing what you do, and also thank you for letting us be even a tiny little part of it.
Right.
Sure.
You're as big as a part as you want to be, and I don't look at you guys as a tiny little part of it. We're because it's one of those things where if you look at the human body, right, every part is necessary. Every little part is necessary for the whole body to function. And you are as important as any other part of this charity. So please never diminish the work you do. I'm thrilled that you are working with us. I'm thrilled that your listeners want to help and join. We're all in this together, and we're all going to make a difference together.
Thank you, Mark.
Yes, thank you.
And on that note, we are going to take a quick break and come right back. And we're back, and it's time for our weekly picks. And leading off is Liz.
All right, I waited till after Halloween, and now it looks like Christmas time. So my first pick is the DC Holiday Nightmares. This is going to be an oversized issue. It's going to take last year's Nuclear Winter special, Harley Quinn number 55, which was her Christmas story, and Swamp Thing Winter Special number 1. I kind of enjoyed the Nuclear Winter Special. For me, it was kind of different. It wasn't really, per se, Christmassy, but the other two are, definitely good too. So to have this all in one collection, I think they're going to charge you $17 for it, but I can guarantee you'll get at least 5 out of the Nuclear Winter Special stories. So 7 stories for that price, not bad. Definitely pick this one up. Put you in that mood. It's getting there, guys. Almost Christmas.
Can we get through Thanksgiving first, please? Holy cow.
So we've never done a lot for Thanksgiving, So I waited till Halloween.
Yeah, that always aggravates me. Those that are just ready to start celebrating Christmas. So like, okay, if you're ready to give up your 4-day weekend because we're not celebrating Thanksgiving anymore, then all right, there we go.
There we go. Well, see, I always decorate with Nightmare Before Christmas stuff. So I celebrate Christmas as soon as Halloween comes, Actually, a month before Halloween, because, you put those out, and then I don't have to take them down till January.
I'm surprised you've taken them down.
The city and all, We've had fights on that.
Right.
And they also don't like... They also don't like the little dummies hanging from the roof with the Christmas lights. They don't like that either. We had to take that down too. So picky.
Alrighty, Mike, you're next.
Oh, good. I get to follow that. So my first pick is a Titan book, and I am picking Rivers of London, The Fae and the Furious, number 1. So we're getting another Rivers of London story. These are quite a bit of fun, actually. If you're into cop stories, and if you're into urban fantasy, these are a lot of fun. The main character is a guy named Peter Grant, and he's a cop and he's also a wizard. And in this story, there's some issue with a race car over in the Netherlands. I mean, these are based in, it's a Titan book, so these are based in London, obviously, Rivers of London, duh. and so he's going to get to hop over to the continent for a little bit and check out some goings on with some racing cars and such. And like I said, these are some interesting stories. I mean, I'm kind of a sucker for the fantasy thing and also for cop stories, so it's kind of right up my alley. But they're pretty fun. They've been pretty consistent over the years too, so check them out.
Cool.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, I am next, and for my first choice, I'm going with a new miniseries from Ahoy Comics. It's called Dragonfly and Dragonfly Man. This is a prequel to a miniseries that I talked about before that I was so blown away with, and it's called The Wrong Earth. And the story is essentially where a superhero in one universe changes places with his version on another planet and basically another universe. And I'm describing this badly right now, but basically it's like Adam West is Batman in the Dark Knight's universe and vice versa. It was such a great series. And this is just going to be a little prequel, obviously showing a little bit more of the stories before that particular storyline. So I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Cool. Sounds like fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does.
It's nice to see these characters again. So, alrighty, Les.
My first choice comes from Boom Studios, and it is Bolivar Eats New York. This is a new episode in the story of Bolivar the dinosaur, and it is it's a kid's book, granted, but it just looks like so much fun. Bolivar is a dinosaur that lives in New York City, but his friend Sybil is not worried about that. She's more worried that her neighbor only likes corned beef sandwiches. Now, he is missing out on one of the great attributes of New York City, which is a hot dog. So, in this one, the two of them explore the 5 boroughs of New York City, and it's kind of a discovery adventure. So, for kids, this is going to be a good read, and it is the sequel to Sean Rubin's book, Bolivar. So try this one on.
Yeah, that does look pretty cute.
Yep. Alrighty, Liz, you're up again.
All right, for my second pick, I'm going with Rick and Morty Presents, and this one is on Unity. This has been a lot of their one-shots they've been doing. They're trying to hold us over, I guess, until they release the next season, which, I don't know, it's been like 2 years, guys. Come on. I'm not bitter, though. Unity on the show was someone who can control people through their minds. And when we last saw Unity, she had a planet she was controlling, and everybody was peaceful and working, and Rick comes along and ruins everything. So
Shocking.
this one, right? This one, she's going to make a play to take over the world again, but she needs his help. And he left his T-shirt there last time, so he's like, hey, let's do this thing. So she's always been one of my favorite characters on the show. I don't know why they haven't utilized her more. So I'm actually excited about this one. I'm glad that they picked her to do this on. like I said, if you're in between like me, kind of come on, guys, let's do this. This is a good little tide over till we get a new season.
Okay.
Sounds
I like it.
exciting.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Mikey.
Okie dokie. My second pick is from Dark Horse, and I'm picking Crone, #1. This is, okay, yes, it's another fantasy story, so sue me. But this is the story of an elderly lady who, back in her heyday, was known as Bloody Bliss, and she was a sword mistress to the likes of which none had never existed before. But now she's older, and she doesn't. She's kind of a recluse, and she's going to have an opportunity for one more adventure. And the the description here calls this story equal parts Unforgiven and Xena Warrior Princess. And that just sounds interesting to me.
It does.
Yeah, this was on my list. This was on my radar, definitely. Alrighty. I'm up again. And so for my second choice, I'm going with the official Handbook of the Marvel Universe Omnibus. And this covers the first 15 issues of the original run back from 1983. I've talked about something along these lines several times over the course of the years. I love these stats-oriented books. And these were actually created right around the time the Marvel role-playing game was being done by TSR. So it was great to use these to help flesh out some characters that you didn't have stats for at the time. And it's just some great stuff. It's technical stuff. It's fun reading. I'm surprised they're doing it, but
yeah, I kind of wonder why, but I mean, I'm not in a complaining sort of way, just in a why now
Yeah.
sort
It
of
is.
way.
Very nice.
Cool.
so who knows? Maybe they're getting ready to do a new version or something. Who knows?
Maybe they want to add
Yeah,
to it,
that's
and this
possible.
is a way to get it kind of
It's
back
true.
in front of people.
All right.
Be nice to do so.
Yep.
Who knows?
Okay, Les.
My second choice comes from Image Comics. It is Deadeyes #2. This one continues the story that Martin Dobbs is forced back into his mask to fight. He needs solvency, and to do that, he needs to get his crew back. But his crew has problems, obviously. His wheelman makes a mistake, and the job that they're performing doesn't go quite as planned. This section of the story is somewhat of a mirror to a real-life incident that nearly killed the writer back in 1994. So, to me, this is a draw-in. I've enjoyed the other version of Deadeyes, the other named version. So, yeah, I'm wanting to see how this is going to pan out. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. That does look good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been fun already. It's already been fun.
Alrighty, and our honorable mention this week is...
I'm pretty excited about this one. we went with Lock and Key Dog Days #1. Now, in 2013, Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez wrapped up their amazing series, Lock and Key. Well, now there's been little rumors flying around that they're about to have a show, Lock and Key, on Netflix. So I guess to kind of kick this off and to get everybody thinking about it again, they're coming together for one issue, and it will be this. It'll have 2 stories in it. One of them is called Nailed It, and the other one is Dog Days, which will be their total Lock and Key form and story style. One other interesting thing that you will get in this comic is a 5-page preview of a new series that Joe Hill is doing with Mark Simmons called St. Holmes, the Insulting Detective, and Dying is Easy. So they'll kind of give us a glimpse of his new little project, plus give us 2 good stories from the series that we loved, and get us ready for the Netflix series. So definitely should be a good one. I'm happy to see these 2 guys back together doing this. I really enjoyed the first series that they did, and Joe Hill is amazing. I love his stories almost as much as his daddy's, but his daddy's had more experience. Just a little bit. So definitely, if you were a fan of the series, pick this up. Like I said, they said they're only doing it for this one book, so if you missed it and want it this week, go get it. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, but they did want to mention that, by chance, if anybody got the San Diego Comic-Con version, it did not have the Dog Day story in it. So this is even something better, I would say, than they offered at the convention. Different, you'll definitely get a different story. So if you pick that up on eBay or whatever, this is not the same one.
Good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Any special shout-outs or mentions this week?
No, just...
Nothing here.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, thanks. Big thanks to Mark for talking to us
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
telling us some stories, because dang.
Yeah. Definitely want to thank Mark for being on with us. Once again, want to thank the guys at Red Pegasus for having us out for our collection drive, and we will definitely be doing something with them again at some point down the road. They've already expressed an interest helping us out, so we'll get something going. Alrighty, we'll just go ahead and move on to our regular shout-outs. I want to thank Pop Goes Culture Podcast Network for allowing us to be part of a great group of shows. Definitely recommend you check them out. There will be a link in the show notes. Also want to thank all the members of the Pottern family for spreading the word of the fellowship on Twitter. Definitely go check them out, and the easiest way to do that is do a search, #PotternFamily, all one word, and just see whatever kind of floats your boat. Just scroll around, see, I'm sure something will catch your eye there. And one more time, we'll go ahead and do a shout out to #AllTheHorror. You still have the ability to download some of these great episodes, because, like Mike said, there are still going to be a few. Everything will be out by the time that this episode drops, but that just means that now you can be able to go back and download all of them and listen to them.
Mm-hmm. There's plenty to listen to, too. It's awesome.
Mm.
I want to thank Manny the Martyr for supplying us the music for our podcast. We'll have a link in our show notes to let you kind of check out their music. Thank you guys so much. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We do appreciate your support as always. As of recording, we broke another milestone. We've past the 6,000 download mark. So thank you very much for your support as always. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a comment, suggestion, complaint, observation, question, whatever, by all means, contact us. There's several ways you can do that. Our email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, or you can go to the website and go to the About Us page, and there's a contact form that you can fill out, and we will receive that. You can follow us on Facebook. We are called The Fellowship of the Geeks there. Follow us and keep up to date for our events, like our Meet and Gab, and then other appearances we'll be having, especially if they're tied to the charity events. We're obviously on Twitter @Fellowship Geeks. If you like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found @MikeyGeek. Liz can be found @LN_geek. And I can be found @TomTCGeek. And wherever you download and listen to our episodes, if you take a couple of moments to rate and review our show, it would be greatly appreciated. Any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Appreciate you listening.
Thank you for listening, everybody. We do appreciate your support as always. And until next time, geek on, my friends. We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook @The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter @Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,